And we are definitely still tracking quite the winter storm heading our way, trending more towards ice storm criteria and territory, unfortunately. So those of you that want snow, I think we'll see maybe a little bit of that, but that's going to mix with sleet, and then it's going to change over to freezing rain. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Let's jump right into the details here with you. We'll look at that in just a bit. I want to explain why we are going to see happen what we're going to see happen. But first of all, here is our weather impact alert days that run Saturday afternoon through Monday morning. And so this is going to be your entire weekend for the most part. Saturday morning and a good chunk of Saturday afternoon will be okay. But once that precip starts to move in, that's when you really need to start staying off the roads and only getting on the roads if it's an emergency, because conditions are going to deteriorate very fast as we go through, especially Saturday night. Saturday night, you do not want to be on the roads. So it'll start off with a quick burst of snow. Then we'll see sleet start to mix in there, and it'll end with freezing rain. So we're going to cause lots of problems on the roads, and potentially some problems for people with power. We're talking National Weather Service using messaging of widespread power outages and long lasting. So we need to take this storm very, very seriously. You need to be ready to be stuck at home or inside, for a few days. And so because of those power outages, just because conditions on the road are going to be so terrible, you really don't want to be out there on them if you can avoid it. Let's talk about threats. So we are looking at a low snow impact. However, ice, travel, power, all high. And again, that's going to run Saturday night through Sunday. And so that's because we're going to put sleet down on the roads, and think of driving on basically ice balls, little ice pellets. We're going to put that between the road and your car's tires, and you're going to try to drive on that. It's very difficult to melt it versus snow. And so that's going to make hazardous travel likely. Then, on top of that, we're going to put a glaze of ice over everything, and maybe even more than a glaze of ice, trending again more towards the ice storm criteria, which is a quarter an inch of ice. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's look at your timeline. Really what we're looking at here is starting off Saturday. It's going to be dry most of the day. So really, if you have last minute things you need to do, you could get them done on Saturday. Let's try not to wait to the last minute. Procrastination is not a good thing. Let's try to get them done now. But as we approach Saturday, maybe you realize you forgot something. You need to go pick it up, or you need to grab it. You can do so Saturday morning and a good portion of the afternoon. When we start sliding into the evening hours, probably after about 3 o'clock, we need to start thinking, stay home, stay off the roads. Because we're going to start off with a quick burst of snow towards the evening hours, kind of a early evening, think 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. And you'll see this in just about a moment. Then we're going to transition over to sleet, and that's those ice pellets that make hazardous travel or difficult travel Saturday night into a good portion of Sunday, maybe Sunday morning. Now, the question that we don't know yet that we're going to have to continue to watch is how quickly do we see freezing rain take over from the sleet? Because if we see freezing rain start Sunday morning very quickly and last all day, that's going to be a huge problem for us. Versus if we see sleet last a little bit more through Sunday morning and then maybe turn into freezing rain towards the afternoon or evening, then that's good news for us. Less ice potential. So that's stuff that we'll be watching. Freezing rain, of course, is going to put weight on the power lines, put weight on the tree branches, and those could come down. That could result in widespread power outages. And again, because of how treacherous the roads are, they could be long-lasting, so we need to be prepared. We don't want to be scared. We want to be prepared, right? We want to get ready for this event, and the time to do that is now. Let's talk about what we're dealing with here. A few showers to our south. This is a front that's pushing into the region, and that is going to reinforce our cold air over us as we go really from our Friday and then right ahead of the storm as we go into our Saturday. So already by, the time we get into our Friday evening, we're starting to see that northerly wind flow bringing in some of those cooler temperatures, more northeasterly winds. That is from our friend, the high pressure to our north, that is going to be locking in the cold air. It will not be displacing itself as it did this past weekend. Remember, we didn't see the impacts of the snow that we expected as much. Well, we stayed on the lower end of things because the cold air wasn't locked in place. The high was transitory. It was moving off the coast. Not this time. It's going to be locked in place. It's a very strong high, Arctic high pressure there. And so that's not going anywhere. So because of that, temperatures are going to be very cold, and we're looking at more impacts from the sleet and the freezing rain because of that as well. So this is 2 a.m. Saturday morning. If you do have to get out and do errands, it'll be cold. It'll be very cold. You can see those temperatures in the low 20s, maybe into the teens, and temperatures continuing to fall even throughout the day. So let's back this up and slow its roll just a little bit as we go into our Saturday morning. Here we are through the morning hours, and then as we start to go towards the afternoon, watch here the snow start creeping in. So yes, there will be the chance for snow lovers to see maybe a quick burst of snow for a couple hours as we go into our Saturday night. All right, so Saturday afternoon, kind of the early evening hours towards maybe middle evening, maybe a little longer. Just depends on how quickly that warm air punches over us, and it looks like it's trending quicker and quicker. So not good news for snow lovers. If you want the snow, go over the state line up into Virginia. They'll see a better chance of it, or at least our counties up along the state line of Virginia, North Carolina, are definitely seeing the better chance of a little bit more snow. And we'll get to snow and sleet totals and ice totals here in just a moment. But then as we go towards the evening hours, expect a good portion of your overnight to be hearing because sleet will be falling. And so you'll know it's sleet because you'll hear it. It's very loud. Rain, a heavy rain can be loud. A sleet storm can be very loud. I mean, you can hear the bouncing off of everything. If you don't know if it's sleet or if it's rain, stick your arm out when you go outside and you'll actually see the ice pellets bouncing off your jacket. Plus, it'll start to accumulate and just create hazardous travel. So again, we do not want to be on the road Saturday night at all. We want to be home. Unless it's an absolute emergency, stay off the roads, stay home. And then as we go into Sunday morning, notice how some of the precip here starts to lighten up a little bit, but we're locked into pink, and our model doesn't quite go out far enough there. That's why I saw the model data disappear. But this is probably all going to be freezing rain. Look at the heavy rain here, and most likely sleet that the model's not necessarily differentiating well as we go into Sunday morning on the other side of the Appalachian Mountains. Meanwhile, on our side, the wedgie side, we're definitely going to be dealing with the potential there for freezing rain. And that's how it's going to end. It's going to end as freezing rain. How quickly does it start? That's really what we're watching. So why are we going to see this transition happen? This is using one of our longer range models, but what Tim did is he put on here the pink line that you see is the freezing, it's 32 degrees at the ground. Above our heads, you can see the yellow line, that's above our heads. This is the warm air that we're talking about. Ooh. And so as we go into our, let's see, I'm getting some feedback here, trying to, clicking on the show. We have a lot going on. But as we go into our Saturday, so here we go. Let's take us into Saturday evening. What is starting to happen? What do you notice? Well, one, the pink line is south of us, right? It's into South Carolina. And so that surface, cold air is locked in place, and it's not good. You're not going to see it move very much. Now, the yellow line is what you want to watch because that is going to move, and watch it start to move north. This is freezing line, so now we're starting to warm up, and you can see the wedge holding on to parts of the Triad, Western North Carolina, a little longer there, but even eventually as we go into Sunday afternoon, this is slow. The European and our high-resolution models seem to be a little faster, pushing that warm air north, nosing it. That's why I call it a warm air nose, because it looks like a nose, right? It's punching north. And so think of it this way. At the surface, it's 32 degrees. Above our heads, it could be over 40 degrees. That's why we're not going to see the snow. It's going to be way too warm. And so That is why we will see more sleet and we will see freezing rain, because of the depth of the cold air at the surface will continue to be there. And then you can see maybe a little wraparound as we go into Monday, but things will definitely be getting out of here and getting out of our hair as we go into Monday. Unfortunately, after that, the Arctic air settles in, and that's going to create its own problems, especially if people lose power. All right, without further ado, everybody wants to see the snow totals. So this is a snow sleet forecast. This is a mix of both. This is not just snow. So this is ice pellets mixed in with the actual snow. We're looking at it, maybe a coating to about an inch in the southern counties. They're going to deal with more warm air quicker. And so because of that, they're going to see more sleet. They're going to see more freezing rain. For us here across the Triad proper, talking Forsyth County, Guilford County, and into northern portions of Davidson County, and then over to Alamance, we're looking at maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow and sleet. This is both. All right? Do not look at this and be like, oh, it's snow. No, it's going to be mixed with sleet, which is not as much fun. And then, of course, right along the Virginia state line, back over towards western North Carolina, Wilkes County, Mount Airy, Surrey County, going to be dealing with 2 to 4 inches of snow and sleet. So it's going to be mainly sleet. There could be some snow in there early on, but that warm air definitely looks to punch in pretty hard. And so it's going to be hard-pressed for us to keep the snow going as that warm air rides up over us. That's going to create more sleet situation. And then how long does the sleet situation last before we transition over to freezing rain? It's going to be a long day if we start seeing that freezing rain accumulate and accrete on things Sunday morning early. It's going to be a long day. We're going to see a potential for quite a bit of ice already, but if it starts earlier, that means more ice. So what are we looking at for freezing rain risk? Okay, we're looking at about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 inch of ice along that North Carolina state line, Virginia state line. And then the Triad proper, really looking at now 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of ice. That's important because 1/4 inch of ice, according to the National Weather Service office in Raleigh, and really our surrounding offices as well, that's ice storm warning criteria. So do not be surprised in the next couple of days when we start seeing the warnings issued that an ice storm warning is issued for parts of the Triad because of the ice accumulation potential. Southern counties are going to get hit really hard, unfortunately, with icing. So they're going to start with ice and then, a little sooner, and it's going to last a little longer, so we're going to see higher amounts. We're talking 1/2 inch plus. That is significant impacts. You start seeing trees break at 1/4 inch of ice. You get up to 1/2 inch, you really start seeing problems with trees coming down, tree limbs coming down, and that could take out power lines as well. Not to mention the power lines themselves are going to start accreting ice, and they start to get weighed down. And so all of this just negative effect. Sunday, stay off the roads completely. Do not drive unless it's an absolute emergency on Sunday. Okay, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be a skating rink out there. No one can drive on ice. Even the best drivers. No one can drive on ice. Don't do it. Sunday, stay home because that's when we're going to see that. And then real quickly, I want to show you our temperatures afterwards. So you can see here into Sunday, temperatures, we're just not getting above freezing. And then as we go from kind of Monday, right? We're staying in the teens and 20s. As we go towards Tuesday morning, we're in the single digits, folks. And if we have even the slightest breeze, that's going to knock the wind chill into below zero criteria. So we'll have our own separate weather impact alert days for those early mornings because they will be dangerously cold, especially if people lose power. Keep it here with your weather impact team, and we'll continue to keep you updated ahead of the storm.